All right, let's talk about money. Specifically, the words we use when we talk about it. We're going to demystify some of that confusing financial lingo today because honestly, these aren't just words, they're the actual tools you need to get a handle on your money and, build a real future.
You know that feeling, right? Payday comes, you pay some bills, you go out, live a little, and then, poof, you look at your account and you're just like, wait, where did it all go? It feels totally chaotic. And let's be real, that's because it is.
Okay, so the first step to getting out of that chaos is to actually put a name to it. You can't fix a problem if you can't describe it, right? So we're going to start with the words for when things, when they feel like they're spiraling.
This is a great word. When your spending doesn't just creep up, it skyrockets. Just think about it. One month you're doing great, everything's on track. The next month, maybe it's the holidays or some unexpected car trouble, and boom, your expenses have just shot through the roof. That's what skyrocket means. A super steep, super fast increase that kind of takes you by surprise.
And that's the core of it, isn't it? When spending skyrockets, it just feels so out of control. It's like you can't get a grip on it. It's that feeling that your money is in the driver's seat, not you.
So how do you grab the wheel back? Well, you've got to build a solid foundation. For the next few minutes, let's put on our financial advisor hats and start with the absolute basics, the core words they all use.
Look, before you can tackle any money problem, you have to be able to see it clearly. And that means you've got to speak the language. These next few terms, they're not just fancy jargon. They're like the GPS coordinates you need to map out your entire financial world. All right, first things first. How much money is actually coming in? That's your household income. And it's exactly what it sounds like, the total amount of money earned by everyone living in your house. So we're not just talking about your main salary. It could be your partner's paycheck, that side hustle you've got going on, all of it. This is your starting number, the total pot of money you have to work with every month.
And then on the flip side of that, you've got your expenditures. It's really just a more formal sounding word for expenses, but I kind of like it. It makes you take it seriously, you know? It forces you to think about everything you spend money on, from the big stuff like rent, all the way down to that daily coffee as part of the same big picture of money going out.
And this right here is the whole game. Seriously. Personal finance at its core is just this simple balance. Money in versus money out. Gaining control is all about understanding what's happening between these two columns.
Which brings us to probably the most important and maybe most feared word in finance. The budget. But look, try not to think of it as a financial prison. It's not about restriction. It's a plan. A budget is just you deciding ahead of time where your money is going to go. It's you being the boss of your money, not the other way around.
And the verb for budgeting is to allocate. When you allocate, you're just taking your income and putting it into different buckets. You're saying, okay, this much for rent, this much for groceries, this much for savings, and hey, this much for fun. You're the one making the conscious choices.
Okay, so now we've got the foundational words down. Let's put them together and build a real, actionable plan that you can actually use to get in charge of your money.
The key concept to get here is cash flow. Think of your bank account like a river. It's not a still pond. Money is constantly moving. Your income flows in and your expenses flow out. The whole goal is to manage that flow so the river doesn't run dry.
So here's the plan. It's a super simple 3-step process. Step 1, just watch the money. Track your cash flow. Step 2, make a plan for it. That's where you allocate your money with that budget we talked about. And step 3, make adjustments where you need to. That's when you start trimming your costs.
Now that third step, trimming costs, that's where a lot of us get stuck, right? It sounds hard, but there's a secret to making it way, way easier. And honestly, it's the place where you're going to see the quickest results.
So, where do you even start? You look at everything you spend money on and it just feels overwhelming. But the answer? It's actually really simple. You start with your variable costs. So you've got fixed costs like your rent or your car payments, stuff that's the same every single month. Variable costs are the opposite. They're the expenses that change from month to month, usually based on the choices you make. And that's the key. This is where all your power is. And just look at these examples. This is the stuff of everyday life, right? We're talking about eating out, going to the movies, all those subscriptions you might have forgotten about, and, yeah, impulse shopping. These are the places where you have the most flexibility, day in and day out.
And the action word here is trim. I love this word because it's not eliminate or slash. It's not about cutting everything out and being miserable. It's about trimming. It's about small, manageable, little cuts. Maybe it's one less takeout night a month, or canceling that one streaming service you never watch. These tiny trims can add up to huge savings over time.
And just like that, you have a financial toolkit. You've got the words to describe the problem, like when spending skyrockets, and you have the words to build the solution. You figure out your income and your expenditures, you create a budget to allocate your cash flow, and you know the secret is to trim those variable costs.
Because in the end, these are so much more than just words on a screen. They're tools for empowerment. A budget isn't just a spreadsheet of numbers. It's a story about what you value. It's the story of your priorities. So now that you have the words, what story is your money going to tell about you?